statesmen and poets and priests from more than a century ago. But with the exception of the monument on the riverfront to the Underground Railroad, you know what you see very little of? Any images of black history, but any images that celebrate the accomplishments of black leaders. And so we took a step when I made Jamon Jordan the first Detroit historian, a man with a passion. Stand up, Jamon. This man brings Detroit's black history to life. It's why we rededicated Chene Park as the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater to celebrate the Queen of Soul. It's why right now at the corner of Charlevoix and Garland, we are building a new historic center. So we never forget the story of Dr. Ocean Sweet, who had to defend his home at gunfire for being attacked for moving in to a white neighborhood. It is the reason that we are building a 26-mile ring around the city known as the Joe Louis Greenway that not only brings recreation and beauty to the neighborhoods, but is going to tell the story of what Joe Louis meant to this city and to all of America. And today, we take another step forward. And as Rochelle Riley started to tell you, the story of how this statue got to Detroit is an interesting one. It's a classic Detroit story. It wasn't planned, but 2 years ago, I was in New York for a celebration of Detroiters' success on Broadway. And my friend is here, you're going to hear from shortly. I spent 2 days with the legend Woody King Jr., one of the great producers and directors. Woody King, when he went to New York, there was so little opportunity for black playwrights, directors, actors. He started the New Federal Theater in 1970. He launched 2 generations of careers. People who benefited were people like Samuel L. Jackson and Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington, helped all of the careers. And he told me these stories. And as we were finishing, somebody said, you know, the great American sculptor Stan Watts has done a bust of Woody King, and they're going to put it here in New York. I said, oh no, Woody King is Detroit. Woody King is so Detroit that not only did he grow up here, but his first job was across the street in City Hall. He worked as a draftsman in the planning department under Mayor Louis Mariani and decided this isn't for me and went to New York. I said, we're going to bring him back home, and I was glad that Mr. King could be here when last year we brought the bust of Woody King to the Charles Wright Museum back here in the city of Detroit. We are going to celebrate our leaders. And in the course of that, Rochelle Wiley, she told you, was talking to the sculptor Stan Watts. He says, I've got a full sculpture of Martin Luther King Jr. And of course, Rochelle says, well, Dr. King gave the speech. Now, how in the world, after Mr. Watts heard this, that Rochelle convinced him not only to have it come here, but to donate it to the city of Detroit? I guess, Stan, you've learned, like the rest of us, that nobody can say no to Rochelle. But the importance of this, I see every day. In the mayor's office where I sit in the last 50 years, not much has changed in that time, but the one thing that changes is each mayor has a different portrait behind the desk. And for the last 10 years, the portrait behind my desk has been of Dr. King leading the march down Woodward in 1963. And I am struck by the number of people who come into the office who say, what's that? When did that happen? Was that DC? And I have to retell them the story. But after today, you won't have to visit the mayor's office to be reminded. You won't have to wait till 2033 when Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony leads the 70th anniversary march in what would be your 20th term as chapter president. Instead, every family and the children of Detroit, every day they come through the city center, will be reminded that this was the place that Dr. King gave the speech that defined the aspiration for America, and they can be proud that it happened in the city of Detroit. And so Stan Watts, Rochelle Riley, and everybody who made this possible.